And that center point, at least how I define it, is consciousness. If you had to call, I mean, that's how the word I would say it is, consciousness, which doesn't in a way mean anything, but it also means everything. It might be a little abstract, but consciousness, awareness, I mean, UFOs, paranormal, out of body, it's all comes down to our unique experiences as conscious beings. That's,
I agree.
That's the hub of the wheel as I see it. I mean, you might have your own definition, but so.
What do you think?
And for the most part, it's about learning, and not just for us. I mean, it's for everybody. So we learn as, everybody else is learning, and the more knowledge we have, the better decisions we can make.
Right. But knowledge comes in so many forms. I think a big part of our evolution is starting to get back to the body and realize that there's knowledge in the body that is wisdom too, and we have to expand our understanding of that as well. Movement. I interviewed a woman named Emily Conrad who started something called Continuum, and she says trapped or lodged in the knowledge of the body is the movement of the stars. And she says that's the spiral of the DNA. Actually, her work and Nassim's really hook up because they both connect us as galactic beings. That's what's really exciting about.
Yeah, Nassim draws a line from the singularity all the way up to the the universe, the mass of the universe.
Right, from the smallest point to the largest point, and there's this singularity that is present. And singularity is consciousness itself. I would call it that. And Nassim has a sort of mystical, spiritual dimension. In my interview with him, you can hear, we go into this whole thing about being present and how the present is creating itself all the time. It was a real great moment of revelation for me talking to Nassim about.
He'll do that to you.
Have you interviewed Nassim for this program?
No, but I've been following Nassim until ever since he did his talk, and it was posted on Google, and I was ranting and raving and sending it to all my friends and saying, this will give you a quantum leap in involvement. Just watch it. Trust me, it's really long, but watch it anyway.
Yeah, I think he is the next Einstein. I think if he can get some people to really take notice of what he's saying, he can revolutionize the world, and I think he will. It's so exciting to meet people out there who have a vision of what's possible. Most people don't, and most scientists definitely don't. They're just trying to maintain the status quo. That's why there's that quote that science evolves one funeral at a time. Have you heard that?
One funeral when the old scientists die. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that is a reflection to what you said earlier about forget what you knew today, forget what you knew yesterday. Today is a new day.
Right.
But that's doing it on the microscopic scale. On the macroscopic scale, we have to wait for the old people that are still, they're not washing, they're not doing the 100th monkey thing.
Right. I mean, it just reminded me of that quote by Isaac Asimov where most scientific discoveries don't come with people exclaiming eureka. It comes with saying, well, that's strange, that's funny. They see something new that's outside their paradigm and what they didn't expect, and suddenly their thoughts have to expand to include a greater reality, a greater possibility. And that's scientific evolution. So,
go ahead, Tom.
I wanted to ask you a question. In your bio, you call yourself a historical alchemist. Explain it.
Well, there's many ways of looking at it. I love alchemy. I think alchemy is not just the science of turning lead into gold. It's the science of turning the body into spirit, the density of consciousness into the light of our total being. And what I call myself, historical alchemist. Well, I love looking at history and the evolution of history and the transmutation of history and the recapitulation of history. This is one thing I learned from Terence McKenna. He says time is a fractal wave. And so all moments don't look like other moments. Again, it has to do with our point of view and consciousness. But Terence McKenna said that the 60s, the 1960s, when we had all this cultural change, was a repetition of the golden age of Greece. And so is the Renaissance. So it goes from the golden age of Greece to the Renaissance to the 1960s. And there's these fractal waves where history repeats itself. And there's this alchemical change throughout history that shows us directions of evolution and change.
Looping groups of events. They loop like
and we could plot those.
Symbol.
But he's also saying, Terence McKenna also said that when we hit 2012, we go into a whole new direction and history becomes history, is a famous quote of Terence McKenna. So we're in a new territory, and I think that will be the alchemical moment when all the work of what happened in the Piscean age is suddenly transformed into a whole new being. The phoenix rises from the ashes. That's so I think history has a lot to tell us, and letting go of history has a lot to tell us, but there's that famous quote, there's a couple of quotes, from one by George Bernard Shaw that says, what we learn from history is that we learn nothing from history. No, it's just a joke.
Yeah, we keep making the same mistakes.
Exactly, but I think we can plot a movement, a fractal movement that shows us we're getting very close to something different happening, a renaissance of beingness. And I think this is very exciting for all of us. Don't you think so?
Yeah,
I think so. I think that the Mandelbrot is there for a reason. I think the fractal nature of the universe is there for a reason. It should be something that we reflect on, look back on, and go, hey, maybe we're part of that. Oh, wait, we are part of that. If we are part of that, if we are part of the fractal nature of the universe, then there is an opening for evolutionary spiritual change.
Right. And well, it doesn't get any more obvious than crop circles. I mean, people say they're hoaxes, but I was there 2 years in the crop circles of England, in Wiltshire, England, and if anyone doubts that an alien race is talking to us, they go to the crop circles, and they're talking to us in a very sophisticated language. And I give lectures on this, and I say, look, if there was somebody at higher consciousness talking to a lower consciousness, are you going to talk down on their level? It's like when you talk to your dog, do you bark at them? No, because you think they understand barking. No, you talk to them in the language of our higher intelligence. Well, that's what crop circles are. They're talking to us in the language of the universe, which Galileo said was geometry, and so did Einstein in some way. So they're talking to us in a very sophisticated, multidimensional language about what's possible. And they're giving us clues to technological evolution and also our spiritual evolution. That's my belief anyway.
Okay, how about the other side? If there is another side.
What the hoaxing for the crop circles, you mean?
No. I was a crop circle field investigator. I'm with you.
What's the other side?
The other side of the evolutionary chain. There's a lot of talk about the powers that be. That there's a group, the Bilderbergs, the group that is, sort of trying to throw a wrench in the works, trying to slow humanity's progress down for either their reasons or reasons we don't understand. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, you've interviewed enough people. You must have come across the concept.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely think there is a force that doesn't want to evolve because they're very content owning owning the land, owning the property, owning all the money, but they are now seeing the writings on the wall. I mean, they're the people that are keeping the whole UFO thing secret because they'll lose their power. There's definitely those forces, those covert forces that don't want change. And you know what? Change is coming, and they are trying to grab as much resources as they can, but it's like a sinking ship for them, and there's a new dawn happening, and they can only hold on to their power for so long. So, in a way, I don't even give that side so much energy because I know that they're sort of on a losing team. They've held on to power. They've manipulated people. They're still manipulating people. And this is why we have to start to think for ourselves and create a new awakening for ourselves. But change is happening too fast, and their power is slipping away rapidly. And that's part of this new golden dawn where those forces won't have the same control. And so,
yeah, that's one of their catchphrases, actually. The Golden Dawn. That's an Illuminati catchphrase. They love to use that one in movies. And
you know why they love to use it? Because they love to use the very thing that opposes them, So it's a sort of reverse psychology. It's a double talk. Look, they use these sacred symbols for their logos. They use the shell oil. It's like the shell is an esoteric symbol for the soul and the body, the soul being freed from the body. They use the chevron because that's the separation of the higher and lower nature. They're trying to get us. I mean, Jordan Maxwell.
And Michael Tsarian talk a lot about that. Yeah.
Right, but they try to infiltrate our psyche and our spiritual awareness by using the very things that are here to set us free. So it's as if we can't go there because they're already co-opted by that side. No, let's redefine it. I mean, some people would even say the swastika, but we don't have to go there. That was a symbol of power, but then,
they just reversed it, yeah.
Yeah, but no, we don't have to go there. Just the average symbols that people now associate with corporate power are spiritual forces that we can overcome, So there is that side, absolutely. And if each of us are conscious of just who we are and what we're doing and our programming, we have to wake up from our programming. That's why people are so traumatized when they meet an ET, because their programming doesn't have a place for those realities. So
right.
That's why I love Jordan Maxwell. He's a brilliant guy, and he's doing great stuff, and he's underappreciated but from the knowledge he's gained. And he knows a lot more than he says, Jordan.
You think so? Have you interviewed Jordan?
I have a great interview with Jordan on YouTube. And we just started to just talk about language. He was talking about the courts being the rule of the sea as opposed to the rule of the land. I mean, he sort of lost me on some stuff.
Law.
Yeah, maritime law. I have a whole 6-part thing with him on YouTube where people can see a lot of my video interviews, and he's really brilliant. And I think there's a lot of people. Some people I don't always agree with. I think that David Wilcox can sort of create some of his own things. I love a lot of what he says, but I don't agree with everything. So we all have our own opinions about things.
David Wilcox.
Yeah. I mean, I like him. Great mover of energy, but, we all have our different... David Icke, another great communicator, but he gets a little too much into those forces, which is okay, but...
That's from an educational point of view. You're saying, from an educational point of view, yes, be aware of it, but don't mold your reality around it.
Right. Like the I Ching says, know the dark, but stick to the light, You got to know what's out there for sure. I mean, it's not all just, wow, isn't this beautiful? There's many levels. And David Icke is serving a purpose, even though I don't agree with this whole concept about the moon